Hello and good day to you. How are you? We have another story for you, which is quite disappointing, really. Another MP showing their true colours. This guy is on the Works and Pensions Committee and basically just thrown disabled people under the bus with regards to his support of the Liz Kendall cuts that she wants to do for various benefits, especially PIP and UC. Yep, you heard it here, but you heard it in the Canary. The Canary have this report, so let's have a look at that right now.
A Labour MP on the Work and Pensions Committee just threw disabled people under the bus. Labour MP David Duschinsky has jumped on his Labourlist soapbox to defend Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, boss Liz Kendall's callous cuts to chronically ill and disabled people's benefits, specifically Personal Independence Payment, PIP, and Universal Credit. It comes the day after the DWP committee, that he's a member of, lambasted the cuts in a letter to the Prime Minister. DWP, PIP, and Universal Credit cuts, committee calls government to halt. The Work and Pensions Committee has been conducting an inquiry into the government's pathways to work green paper plans for DWP, PIP, and Universal Credit. In particular, the inquiry is intending to look at the impacts of these DWP policy changes on disabled people. Moreover, it aims to unpack the poverty and employment effects of the reforms. Now, the committee has advised the government to pause its plans for Parliament to vote on some of these reforms in early June. As ITV News reported, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer is being advised to urgently pause the government's plans to cut disability and health benefits by Parliament's Work and Pensions Committee, ITV News can reveal. The cross-party group, chaired by Labour MP Debbie Abrahams, has expedited the conclusions of a report into the reforms, and has said they should not go ahead without a comprehensive impact assessment. The politicians say that disabled people must also be consulted before MPs asked to vote on the reforms. After hearing from a series of experts, the group warns of possible unintended consequences. However, the ink had barely dried when one member of the committee decided to contradict the whole thing. A fulfillment of Labour values. The DWP committee sent the letter to Starmer on Wednesday the 21st of May. By 6 a.m. the morning the 22nd of May, committee member David Duschinsky had a column on Labourlist titled, "Welfare Reform is not a betrayal of Labour values, it's their fulfilment." He opened with some dewy-eyed Clement Attlee welfare state nostalgia. The creation of the modern welfare state by the 1945 Labour government remains one of the party's proudest legacies. A system to support society's most vulnerable is an enduring symbol of fairness, collective responsibility, and the belief that no one should be left behind. In the aftermath of war, Labour didn't just build institutions like the NHS and the welfare system. We enshrined at the very heart of the state the idea all should not just be protected from the material hardships but should be given true access of opportunity and the support they needed to make the most of their lives. These were not mere policies. They were moral commitments, asserting that dignity, security, and agency should be the birthright of every citizen. You can almost feel the "but" coming in your bones. He continued that. But today, the welfare system faces urgent challenges. Economic inactivity is rising, with 1 in 10 working-age people now out of the labour market, millions locked out of work, and support systems too often unresponsive and inflexible. Then, he went on to argue that it is no accident that employment rates among disabled people are almost 30% below those of non-disabled people. It is no accident that unemployed disabled people are only a third as likely to flow into work in any given year as other workers. It is no accident only 0.9% of people on the UC health component, the LCWRA, find work each month. And it's unfortunately no accident that almost 40% of people on these benefits are stuck in poverty. Now, there is one thing we can agree on. Successive UK governments have continued to strip chronically ill and disabled people of support. Only recently, the Canary reported on leaked DWP plans to limit the already woefully inadequate and failing access to work scheme. Jobs marked as disability confident, part-time, and work from home on the government's OWN employment portal have hovered in the single digits for months. Don't look now, but it has broken into the double-digit numbers, a whole 10 jobs across the entire UK. Repeated real terms cuts to benefits and regressive reforms have decimated welfare. Benefit rates, even when factoring in LCWRA and DWP PIP, will be well below minimum wage. That's state-sanctioned poverty. It is no accident. DWP PIP cuts will push people into deeper poverty. None of this is what Pinto Duschinsky was getting at. Instead, it's the beyond parody idea that the generosity of health-related UC and DWP PIP are incentivizing people into claiming them. In Pinto Duschinsky's neoliberal fanaticist worldview, it's trapping people on benefits. Compare and contrast with the committee letter. Other factors might also be driving people to claim both incapacity and disability benefits, including, in particular, rising ill health, including mental ill health, rising financial insecurity, particularly among disabled people, and the exclusion of disabled people from the workplace, exacerbated by the rise in the state pension age. It seems very possible that these other factors, which we will address in our final report, have indeed contributed to rising caseloads. If this is the case, the legislative changes might not incentivize work, as the government hopes, but rather push people deeper into poverty, worsen health, especially in more deprived areas, and move people further from the labour market, as evidence suggests has happened in the past with similar reforms. In short, Labour's plans will push chronically ill and disabled people into poverty. Of course, Pinto Duschinsky and the government already know that. Its own impact assessment showed this. Worse than this, as the Canary underscored at the time, it's undoubtedly an enormous underestimate too, as multiple foreign research has also backed up since. Get Britain Working Group at it again. Canary readers might also remember that Pinto Duschinsky headed up the notorious Get Britain Work Group. This was the 36-strong lineup of Labour MPs who popped up to back Chancellor Rachel Reeves and Kendall's war on chronically ill and disabled people's welfare. It just so happened to be populated with a menagerie of neoliberals from the Labour right who took donations from Morgan McSweeney brainchild Labour together. Yes, that Pinto Duschinsky. With him spearheading the charge, the group penned a letter declaring their sycophantic support. And funnily enough, at the time, he also wrote an accompanying column for City AM that peddled much of the same guff. As the Canary's Steve Topple summed up, this spouted well-worn DWP PIP and benefit propaganda. It was more of the same nonsense. Work is good for disabled people. We've got a worklessness crisis. People are left to rot on benefits, but the main problem is it's costing us too much. For Pinto Duschinsky, difficult choices is deciding to hurt other people. To chronically ill and disabled people, if the government plough ahead with these cuts, difficult choices will be whether to heat their homes in winter, forego vital aids that give them that dignity and empowerment Pinto Duschinsky so vociferously banged on about. In his ode to Kendall's Ian Duncan Smith Tribute Act, he wrapped up with, "We must take on the challenge of reform, not in spite of our labour values, but because of them." According to Pinto Duschinsky, this is not a betrayal of labour values. It is their fulfilment. At the end of the day, this is what Labour is now. Pinto Duschinsky's column was a blatant attempt to distance himself from the committee's warnings. The letter is notably absent from his X account. Meanwhile, the column was worth a strategically timed post. Go figure.
One interesting point that was in that article was the 0.9% of people were on the UC health component, LCWRA. That's the saying that it's that only 0.9% of people find work every month. But if you're on LCWRA, you don't have to look for work. So that's a bit of a misnomer, really. I think that that's very misleading to say that. Obviously, he is a idiot. Anyway, that is the article and the story. Anyway, have a good day. I'll catch you later. Bye for now. Oh, hello. Sorry to interrupt the video. Just to say that if you're interested in and keen to watch new episodes before they come out, the best way to do that is become a Patreon. And you can do that very simply. Just go to patreon.com/Andy Wright Online and sign up for a monthly donation, which can be as small as $5, which is hardly anything. If you think about it, you can probably get a cup of Costa coffee if you're lucky. But $5 a month will allow you access to all of the videos that I'm going to be bringing out in the next few months, and you will get them at least a week early, so you can entertain yourself with the new episodes. Sorry to bother you, but now back to the video.